Hello everybody, and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. Today we're going to begin a new segment on this channel, a new Q&A segment. So if there's any questions you guys have related to Certified Collectibles or to the collecting market in general, please feel free to attach them to the comment section below of this particular video. We're going to let the questions and comments collect for about 4 weeks or so, and then we'll do another video in about 4 weeks to address those questions and concerns. Like I said, any questions you guys have on Certified Collectibles, whether it be certified comic books, video games, trading cards, action figures, coins, or if you just want our opinion on trends or the market in general, please attach your questions and comments to this particular video, and we will try to address all the questions that we get. Like I said, we're going to try to accumulate them for about 4 weeks, depending upon how many we get. We may have to do it sooner or a little bit later than the 4-week mark, but we will try to do these videos relatively regularly, depending upon how many questions we get. So since this is our first video, what we did was we picked out some of our most commonly asked questions. Some of these questions, a lot of you guys have asked us over the past year and a half. So we're going to address those right now. Like I said, we have about a handful here. We'll go through these. Any other questions you guys have, or if you want to comment on these particular ones, like I said, please drop it in the comment section of this particular video. So we have about a handful of questions here that a lot of our viewers and a lot of our customers have asked us. One of these in particular, and that is, what is our opinion on the Heritage and WATA scandal or scam? You know, I know there's been a lot of YouTube videos on this. You know, what you guys, a lot of people don't remember, or a lot of people don't know, is that when you bring a new asset class to the market, and you know, the WATA graded video games, WATA came to the market about 2 years ago to bring a whole new asset class, an alternative asset class, and that's kind of what these are. They're not collectibles once they reach a certain level of acceptance in the investment community. It's just like certified coins, certified comics did about 10, 20 years ago when those grading companies came about and they established trust within the industry. Those became emerging, alternative asset classes. A lot of Wall Street firms started getting into them, especially coins back in the day. It turned out not so well because a lot of those companies really inflated the prices because there was such low quantity on the market when the grading companies first started. As the years went on, a lot of the coins, a lot of those coins were graded. The populations grew. A lot of those prices fell. Coins always go up and down in the marketplace. Comics are the same. When comic grading first began, a lot of modern books sold for big premiums. Those premiums fell later on. But you do see a lot of those same books now trading for much higher than they did when they first started. So, the comic industry went through the same thing, and we're sure that the WATA graded video games are going to go through the same thing as well. When WATA came out and started grading the video games, they also attached themselves to some individuals at Heritage Auction and a couple other high-profile video game collectors. They did this for multiple reasons. One was for marketing, because like I said, you're bringing a new asset class to the market. You want to market it. Think of it like a company, a private company going IPO, releasing their initial public offering. They send out a marketing company that tries to get high net worth investors and investment institutions to buy big blocks of stock. The price is set by those analysts and marketers to those institutions. That's kind of what WATA was doing. So since they teamed up with the guys at Heritage and some other, like I said, some other prominent figures in the video game collecting community, that gave them the kind of marketing they needed to get their product or that alternative asset class to market. Now, the people involved with Heritage Auction, they were also involved with WATA. To say that it's a scam with what they were doing, they weren't. This wasn't a direct sales. This was a public auction. So when they brought the items to auction, there wasn't any kind of guarantee to the consignor of the value that you were going to receive. They weren't calling people directly, trying to, any kind of hard sales line to force people to pay a certain amount for these games. They put them up for public auction, people bid on them and won them. Now, as time went on and these prices started to rise substantially, you got a lot of more high net worth individuals involved in this. And a lot of guys, especially a lot of the high net worth guys, and we have a lot of them on our books as clients, they like to compete against one another to pay the highest price for certain things. Now, that will drive up the price artificially for a short period of time. Some of these prices will surely come down. Some of the prices may stay the same. It all depends on how many games the high grade games like that, how many of those titles are going to come to market or are going to be in the population reports once they start reporting populations. But to say that that was a scam of what they were doing, that the guys involved with Heritage and the guys that were the same guys that were involved with WADA, it's not necessarily a scam. They're marketing their new alternative asset class to the market. They're bringing it to the market. It sold for what it sold for, and we bought a lot of stuff out of those initial markets for pennies to what they're trading for today. So we can't really say we definitely don't feel like we got scammed on that. Now, the prices being paid today, like I said, you have a lot of people, a lot of high net worth individuals just very excited getting in, trying to outbid each other on certain games. That will probably not turn out too well for some of those guys, depending upon what game they're buying. It could be the only one known, or once the pops come out, there could be many more. So it might not turn out well, or it might turn out very well for those guys. But you also got to remember there's a lot of these fractional investment firms coming out also driving up the price of these games. And they'll pay $2-3 million for these games because they're dividing the game up into fractional shares, let's say. And, individual collectors are buying these shares for a couple bucks, $10, $20 to buy shares of this particular asset. So it doesn't really matter what these firms pay. So that is also driving up the value or the price on some of these items. So once those investment firms or those fractional investment firms buy all they want, or they kind of saturate their particular market, and there's no more fractional investors to actually contribute or buy those particular shares, you're going to start seeing them slow down on their buying as well. So, we don't really agree with a lot of those YouTube videos saying that's a scam. Now, is it a conflict of interest? I can't really even say that it is, because, like I said, you want to market your new asset class. You team up with a with a big name in the industry like Heritage Auctions or some of these other individuals. I know there's some of the other auction houses also that participate. So, you team up with those guys. They bring your item to market. There you have a big name. They have a lot of clients on their list. They start bidding on your item. Pretty soon, the prices are getting set by the public, not by the individuals actually involved. And that's kind of what kind of denotes a scam. If it was the guys at Heritage saying, this game is worth this amount of money, this is what you need to sell, this is what we need for it, and they're calling you, doing some sort of hard sales on the phone, trying to force you into paying this price, I could say that's probably a conflict of interest. That's probably, a little unethical. But this is not what happened. A lot of guys got involved. They believed in it. They brought the items to market. The items came to market. People paid what they wanted to for them. And like I said, we bought a lot of games on the first year that were coming to market when nobody really cared. Nobody was really in that market for a fraction of what they're selling for today. So we can't really, we don't feel like I said, we don't feel at all like we were scammed. So our opinion on that, it's not a scam. The individuals involved, marketed this particular new rising alternative asset class. They brought it to market. They got people to believe in it. It's still going today, and now that WADA is actually part of the collector's universe down there with PSA, PCGS, all those guys, and now that they actually just bought another auction company, Golden Auctions, now WADA is kind of, that whole company owns WADA Grading and Golden Auctions and PCGS and PSA. That might be more of a cause for concern, but than it was when each of those companies was standalone. Now that WADA's under the umbrella. But like I said, when these items come to public market or public auctions and people bid on them and pay what they want to for them, and they're not being hard sold and they're not being marketed at a certain level, it's hard to say it's a scam. In our opinion, that's just good marketing. So that's what we're going to say about that. I'm sure a lot of you guys are not agree with that, and I'm sure a lot of you will be angry, but we don't believe it was a scam. We just believe it was good marketing. Now, next question, or what someone wanted our opinion on was, once WADA and VGA release pop reports, what effect do you think this will have on the market? Now, once WADA and VGA start releasing the pop reports for some of these games, collectors and investors are going to be very, very surprised, especially some of these Nintendo games, of how many of these titles come in very high grade. Now, a lot of the, especially the Super Mario Brothers, a lot of these Super Mario Brothers games, they've graded thousands of these. How many are high grade? Probably 50, 60, 100, who knows, until they release the pop reports. But, we used to get case packs of Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Brothers 2. So, those games are out there and those games are factory sealed. the Atari market is definitely going to benefit from the pop reports because a lot of you guys think there's a ton of Atari out there in high grade. You're going to be very surprised to find out that some of those titles, there's only a few known or a few exist in any grade. Things like Combat or, in Pac-Man, you'd be surprised how few exist in high grade. I don't think there are any 9.8s that we've ever seen. I think 9.6 is the best grade we've ever seen for a Pac-Man 2D. But like Combat, Adventure, I can't imagine we've only seen a handful of those. So some of those games for the early Atari are definitely going to benefit from the pop reports coming out. Some of those Nintendo games, now they're definitely going to be impacted by that. A lot of these collectors and investors are going to see that there's, 20, 30, and 9.8, A++ for some of these titles, and they'll just wait for that game to come to market. So any of those lower grades are definitely going to take a dive because, if there's 20, 30, 40, and 9.8, A++, you might as well just wait because they will come to market. It's like when I think that Super Mario 64 sold for $1.5 million, I believe. This is a few months ago. That same day, we got offers from collectors that 2 different collectors had that game. We actually got offers to buy that particular game outright for $1 million. We pass on those, of course, because if 2 people call us with the exact same game and the exact same grade they just sold at auction, clearly there's more of them out there. Clearly more than will come to market in that grade. So we're going to wait on some of those games, see where they come, see what the pop reports come out, and then make our decision from there. But like I said, a lot of those pop reports are going to negatively affect some of those marquee titles, especially for Nintendo, and they're going to definitely positively affect some of the marquee titles for Atari. Some of those games, like I said, very few of them exist in high grade on the Atari. Very many exist in high grade for the Nintendo. But like I said, that'll all come out once they release the pop reports. Now, third question. What is your opinion on big box PC games? Are they set to pop? Now, this is one we do get asked quite often. The big box PC games, there is a collector market for that, but it's kind of a collector market. It's not really an investor market. Until WATA starts grading the big box PC games, you have to rely on the VGA grading for them, and VGA just does not draw the premium in the marketplace that the WATA games do, and that may change, I know VGA, now that they've been acquired by the same company that owns Diamond Comics and Hakes Auctions, maybe the VGA games will start trading at a higher premium. It all really depends on how they market and how they push that. But the big box PC games right now are being graded by VGA. The market focus right now is on WATA games. So it may be a while before there's more interest in them, but we think the PC games, especially big box PC games, are going to be similar to some of those more obscure home consoles, video game console games, where there are collectors for them, but are there enough collectors that actually, that the current supply on the market won't sate that demand? I really don't know. It seems like any PC game that you want to find sealed, you can find sealed relatively cheaply. So is that going to explode once WATA starts grading the PC game, the PC big box? Who's to say? But in our opinion, PC big box are just like some of those more obscure video game console games where I'm sure they'll appreciate, once they start hitting the market and people start having an opportunity to bid on them in public auctions. I'm sure there will be some appreciation if you bought them a few years ago. If you're going to jump into that market, as soon as they start hitting and if the prices start going up on them, is that a good investment or a good buy? We have to wait and see. It really depends on, like I said, how WATA or VGA push those particular markets, and there just might not be enough collectors that want enough of those games to really affect prices. I'm sure some of the marquee titles will definitely be affected and go up. Just look at like TurboGrafx-16 with Bonk's Adventure. That is the game for that console. All the other games trade at a fraction of that particular game. So it might be the same for PC big box. Some of the marquee titles go for big bucks. Some of the other ones just, trade for dollars. So that's our opinion on the PC big box games and the more obscure console games. And here's a comment that we used to get quite often. We don't necessarily get as much anymore, but the comment is, sealed video game collecting is a fad, and the fad will go away. People are going to be left with a lot of expensive plastic. This is a little ridiculous now, but we will address this. It's similar to when CGC started grading comic books. everybody thought that was going to go away. Everybody thought it was a fad. I remember we were one of the first companies to start grading the modern books, the books that were just being released, and we took some of those books to a Comic-Con, and dealers just laughed at us. They said they'd go $4 or $5 for them. And of course now, some of those books that just came out a month or two ago trade $500, $600, $100, $1,000, $1,500. Just think of some books released a year or two ago. So clearly the market had to catch up to those particular alternative assets. But when they first started, people definitely did not approve of them, or they would not accept it, let's say. And same thing with the sealed video games. It's not a fad. This is here to stay. The people that are involved in this particular industry, the money that's involved, and now that PSA, PCGS, that whole collector's universe bought WATA, now that CGC is going to start grading video games, and now that Diamond Comics or Hakes Auction, that conglomerate, has bought VGA, there's going to be a big push. There's a lot of money in that industry. Those don't just fade away. Now, may they fall into the background of a new emerging alternative asset class that comes in the future. That may be the case, but once again, you have a lot of people collecting CGC graded comic books now that you didn't 5-10 years ago. So and same thing with coins. You have a lot of people collecting coins. Every day people come into the certified coin market. Every day people come into the certified trading card game market. So it's hard to say that It's hard to make the argument that the sealed video game market or the WATA graded video game market is going to vanish and go away after all this money, all this push has been put into it. A lot of these high net worth collectors have put a lot of their money into it and built these collections. It's hard to believe that it'll fade away. Of course it won't. It's here to stay. So live with that. Whether or not that that will upset some people, because actually it leads right into our last comment that we're going to talk about today, and that is WATA video game grading is destroying the video game collecting market. If you're buying a sealed game graded by WATA 9.8 A++, you're not a collector. That's going to be an alternative asset. You became an investor, because once you start buying those high grade games, those games that you're not buying them for your collection to play and to look at the box art. You're buying them as investment vehicles. And if you're actually a collector, you typically want to play those games. So you're buying complete in box games, and those still trade for a fraction of the cost. You can buy most of those games complete in box for pennies on the dollar compared to one of the sealed, WATA graded sealed video games. So the collector market is still very active, and they're buying collector versions of those games. If you're buying, a WATA graded sealed version of the game, like I said, you're no longer a collector, you're an investor at that level. You may not want to be. You may want to believe that you're a collector, but if you're actually buying it to hold on to it for profit, or you believe there's upside in it, upside profit potential in there, then you're not really collecting it. You're buying it for investment. Collecting it means you're going to enjoy the item. You're going to seek daily pleasure out of it, either by looking at it, playing the game, looking through the box art, the manual. Like I said, WATA is not necessarily destroying the video game collecting market. It's actually bringing in a lot of new people to the video game, investment market, let's say. But the collecting market is still there. People still trade cards. People still trade the complete in box games, and that market is still very active. WATA's not destroying that, just like CGC did not destroy comic collecting, NGC did not destroy coin collecting, PSA did not destroy the raw trading card game collecting. So it just changes the market, brings in new people that are investors, but you still will always have the collectors there. So those are the most commonly asked questions or concerns that we get. So that's what we wanted to address with you guys today. Like I said at the beginning of this video, any other questions you guys have about the market in general, trends, our opinion on certain things, or anything related to certified collectibles, comics, coins, trading cards, action figures, or video games, please put the comment or the question in the comment section of this particular video, and we will address those in the next one. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. See you again next time.